to the Artist Who Creates the World. I'm with Manny, artist. I've known Manny for about 3 years. We just run into each other on the train. Not on the train, on the bus.
The bus.
Oh, on the train too, yeah.
On the street.
Yeah.
In the library.
In the library, yeah. I caught him today. I was like, oh, I got to get this interview. Yeah. You have so much energy. You love your people. You know, you reminded me that you were Mexican today. Oh, my pen is coming out. I need a fashion. I need somebody to do my wardrobe. But seriously, man, you know, you've been out here and been doing a lot of work with a lot of the artists. Who's some of your favorite artists?
I love Mia.
Oh, I saw Mia last night.
Oh, you did?
Oh my God, I'll show you the clip.
She's so sweet. She sent me a message on Instagram a few days ago, just saying, you know, she loves me, and I'm like, oh.
How would you explain Mia as an artist? Can she be explained? Because I was raving about her last night, and I'd like to hear. Can you explain her? Like when you hear her perform, what does it just make you feel a certain way, or how's that work for you?
It's interesting because since I do poetry too, and when I construct what I write, I also look at what's happening in hip hop and what young people are listening to, so that it's a mix of. I'm trying to put these very profound ideological questions and arguments into the format of a poem. So when I listen to someone like Mia, I see how she puts the words together and then how she flows. So what I get from her is she's telling a story, and it's like little pieces. I like hearing her piece, Blue Fusies.
Yeah, she did that last night.
Yeah.
She tore it up. So, Manny, what is art to you?
Art.
Take a breath.
Yeah, like.
Funny.
Art is a cultural expression. It's an expression. It's a representation of what we see in our reality.
That's good. Now, let me ask you, what's the difference between the art from your hometown? You lived in Mexico before you came up here. What's the difference between your cultural art there and the cultural art you see here in the Americas? What's the difference?
I think growing up, I wasn't exposed to painting, visual art. I wasn't exposed to a lot of visual art at all. I wasn't exposed to poetry. I wasn't exposed to. I think I was more exposed to visual aesthetics. My parents had a little store that wasn't permanent during the Christmas season. So, and it was at a plaza where there were a lot of those, I forget how you call them in English, but little shops. And when I think about Mexico, that's one of the things that I think about, like ornaments and trees and a lot of color. So now when I do my paintings are very colorful.
So I think the story, you told me this story, but now, so when did the art started becoming important to you? How did that enter into your life? How did that begin to manifest itself within you? How'd that happen?
Well, I think two pieces to preface. When I was in 4th grade, I was in an after-school program where I did a painting. It was just like a cascade over a mountain, and that was in my mind. Like, something happens and you keep it somewhere in the back of your mind. And then at age 14, I started writing poetry. I don't remember how that happened, how that started. And I kept writing until community college, but then
it's probably the ancestors, or maybe a full moon, or maybe it was just that time for you to release your artistic kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see like what were the material conditions that made that come out. Just like I was able to explain how my exposure to painting through that, I'm pretty certain that it must have been in school or something. Like I saw a poem somewhere or saw that I could write poetry.
Did you journal? Have you ever journaled before?
Not much actually, but I do want to answer your question about when art started becoming a force in my life. When I finished at ECC and then I transferred to a school in Philadelphia, it was around 2012, and then around 2014, this teenager in Ferguson, Missouri got shot by the police. And when I came back to school during the fall, there was a huge student assembly, and there were students of all backgrounds that were just talking about racism. And we came from different cities, different places, and out of that, a group of students, a multiracial group of students, went to Ferguson because October 2014, people there made a call internationally for people to come witness what was happening. And when we came back, we started doing these art installations.
Here?
In Philly.
Okay.
So, and we were getting,
Philly?
It was on the UPenn campus. So we started getting the attention of the newspaper. Like many times they put us on the front page, and people in the city were paying attention, the working class people.
So we should point out that you're a social activist, you're an artist, social activist, and your art has been born in social activism. Just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, definitely. That's the point of that story, that I was helping to lead these, I was part of organizing a coalition of hundreds of people that lasted for months, and I was part of helping to fight for a family that had lost someone due to police violence in Philly right around that time, December 2015, Brandon Tate Brown. And I saw artists who were not necessarily taking leadership roles in the organizing, but they were coming to the protests, they were coming to the meetings, and I started going to more. I went to my first open mic in 2013, blocks away from the campus at a restaurant.
You were Christian to open mics?
Yes, it was like my baptism. And then when this stuff started happening around Ferguson, then it started to transform the poetry and the paintings and the rap and the dance. It's like these parties that started to show the politics more explicitly. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa, okay, I need to take what I'm doing artistically more seriously. And guess one last thing, I went to a community center where the director, I showed him a painting that I had done, because at that point I had only done maybe 2 or 3, and he said, "You are an artist." And I was like, what? So all of these things coming together, you know?
I have one question for you, and then as you know, the bell is going to ring in a little while because we have to get out of it. But so tell me, what do you think about this whole idea of it takes an action or something negative for people to respond as artists to that action or that negative happening, you know, or something that's detrimental to within the community. So how do you think we can get to a point where we become, as artists, become proactive and create the action for political change rather than react? You follow me? I kind of made that difficult, but I was just saying, as artists, how do we become proactive instead of reactive?
Well, I think that as opposed to...
You have 4 minutes.
Rather than positive or negative, you know, right or wrong, it's just, I think that there's no development without struggle. Okay. And that struggle could simply be using some of these energies from the People's Open Mic and this other open mics around the city, and kind of struggle with those circles to open up that part of the platform for working class people who are organizing. That's one way of answering the question. Another way is that as artists become more successful under capitalism and trying to figure out how to do art, they become separated from working class people.
Good point.
And that dilutes the art.
Right.
Because, and actually the majority of artists are workers, in the sense that the majority are not funded by a record label or a gallery or a residency.
They're on the low end. They start at the low end.
They have, you know, you have to be working at McDonald's or Starbucks or Amazon warehouse in order to get the money that you need to buy the microphone or to buy the canvas. So we're locked with our working class experience. And that allows us to see, for example, the pressure of having a boss over us and being able to exert that feeling and that consciousness into what we produce as artists. But when we become independent, in the sense that people with money begin to fund us as individuals, and then we become separate from that experience of the masses. And that's something that we have to, be aware of. Yeah.
All right, yo, I thought we could do this in 15 minutes, but this is a real artist. But thank you, man.
Thank you.
Keep
Gracias.
doing your work. Yeah, we're gonna have to do another part. We're gonna go outside so we can get loose and loud.
Yes.
And you gotta see Manny dance too. I got a story of when I saw him dance at Vibes After Dark. Peace, we out.
Peace.
Support your artists. Thank you, man.
That was good.